Welcome back, everybody, to the Hearthstone Global Games. It's week number 12. Taiwan just took down Hungary in very quick and impressive fashion. My name's Dan Gaskin, joined here by Lorinda, as always. That was a nice quick series, wasn't it?
That was a nice quick series. How was your break?
My breakfast was great, just waking up, and now I'm here and I'm ready. And we're moving on to China versus Malaysia, which is going to be Group A. So let's take a look at Group A and see how that one is currently laid out. Actually, I think that's a little bit different. I think Group A, we've actually had China play Norway as well. So currently Malaysia and China both 1-0, Norway and Singapore both 0-1. From what I've done in my research. Yeah,
I agree entirely with that. And Group A is the next two matches as well. We're going to have the other match in Group A after this one. So that group will be 2/3 of the way done very early in the day.
Yeah, we're at a point where we may be able to confirm someone qualifying today.
I know you've been looking at
it. I have been looking at it because I like to get into the depths and the nitty-gritty, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Okay. Let's take a look at the rosters of both of the teams. So, Jason Joe, Nightwalk, Omega Zero, and Nightwalk again, because, of course, you have some players that will sub out, and you'll have to have a second player just step in to make sure he can fill those shoes. On the side of Malaysia, Chonga, Lalasong, Gilgamesh, and Revenge. Both very impressive sides, Neil.
Yeah, Lovely Chook not able to make it today, of course. Looking at China, yet another country that is not the UK.
Yeah, it's not. And you know, interestingly, you can buy green bean flavoured ice pops from China.
Green bean flavour?
Yeah, I'm not sure anyone would actually want them, but it is definitely an interesting
fact. Can't you just freeze a green bean? And it'll have like the same effect.
Maybe that's how it was first invented. Maybe they've gone from like previous medieval ways of freezing green beans.
Medieval?
Yeah, or just medieval ways, because he likes green beans as well.
So, Malaysia?
Malaysia, traditionally, actually, I found out that Malaysia, like their pregnant women, they're supposed to avoid carrying fire. Don't know how you carry fire anyway.
Okay.
But also avoid looking at unpleasant or scary things.
All right, that's cool.
So basically, just don't go to Malaysia.
I hate you.
China versus Malaysia, then. Omega Zero versus Lalasong is going to be the first game of the day. Paladin or Priest for Omega Zero and Shaman or Rogue for Lalasong. And you can see all of the decks or classes there for both countries. If we get to an ace match, if it is 2-2, then we will see a second player play again for Malaysia. But of course, there is already someone playing twice for China because Lovely Chook's not going to be here, as you said.
Yeah, except he is. So it's Malaysia who have
all changed.
Yes, Malaysia
all
who have the
switched out. Okay,
player.
there we go. That makes sense.
I'm not sure who's missing from Malaysia there. Malagos, by the look of it.
Yeah, so Revenge CCS is going to be playing instead of... I have got him somewhere. Maybe Gilgamesh?
Gilgamesh.
Yeah.
Definitely Gilgamesh missing. Malaysia's gone for a weird strategy. Well, not weird, but they've decided to just bury... The three classes that are the weakest, in our opinions, are in order: Warlock, Hunter, and then Priest. Priest being a little bit better than the other two. And they've paired all those three up with like the good classes. Whereas China have just a more traditional thing: bury your Warlock, put your Priest with your Paladin. But Malaysia sort of spread them out. Be interesting to see how that works out.
If you're Hungary, you just play Warlock and play Hunter and lose 3-0.
Just play them and lose 3-0.
I was so hopeful as well when I saw that Warlock come in. I was like, great, okay, we're going to see Zoo, we're going to see them get in. And then the second brawl came off for Taiwan, and I was really upset.
Only because you're halfway through your breakfast.
I was enjoying it. Okay, so China versus Malaysia. I mean, China is a side that during Phase 1, we didn't actually know if they were going to make Phase 2 at one point. They were looking a little bit rocky, weren't they?
They looked like... There were times they frankly looked slightly disinterested. They had a lot going on in China over that period, and it was like they'd done so much research for everything else, they looked almost burned out. But then towards the end, they started coming good, and expect now they've got this far, they're going to be one of the best teams in the whole event. I mean, they're an entire server, for goodness sake.
Yeah, indeed. And then Malaysia on the other side, they impressed us as well in Phase 1. So now this is a chance to kind of solidify yourselves in the Hearthstone Global Game. As I said, there is potential for one of these teams to qualify today. If China were to win, and Norway were also to win in the next game, then that does mean China would be able to progress because of the games that are left to play.
And I see that reverses. So Malaysia win, they need Norway to lose.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so there is the potential later for a potential... Lots of potential of China and Malaysia maybe going through, which is exciting.
Potential energy on this desk today.
So game number 1 then is going to be Paladin versus Rogue. We've of course got Quest Rogue, we've got Control Paladin, and the interesting development of both Paladin and Rogue is that people are still switching cards, Neil. With Control Paladin, we've seen Deathwing being added by a few people. With Quest Rogue, for example, we've seen the Stone Tuck Boars removed, and we've seen backstabs be re-added to Quest Rogue. So it's still nice that we are in this kind of development with Hearthstone. The meta as it is, people still trying new things.
Yeah, good to see everything coming along. I'm sure we'll see more things, but that Deathwing, I think, was Hoy at least popularised. I don't know if he was the first to do it, but I feel like he was. And then we saw Seat Story, and a lot of people just started saying, oh, actually, that's really good, because this Paladin has this sort of stop-start effect where try and kill them, chill out for a bit, play Tyrion, try and kill them, and then now it's go Deathwing as well.
Yeah, just blow everything up on the board. He's got a cool new animation as well, so
has he?
Why not play? You haven't seen?
I haven't.
Yeah, he does have a beautiful animation.
I don't get to turn 10 very often.
Oskaka, I think he brought it as well in the Seat Story finals, so he's added that. But really the Rogue game that we're kind of going through at the moment, Europe still seems to be favouring Quest Rogue.
Right.
And then we've got the Americas that are kind of saying, actually, we're going to lean towards Miracle now.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on Quest Rogue removing Stone Tusk Boar? Because that's an interesting one. I mean, removing a charge element, a 5/5 charge, seems weird.
Yeah, it does seem weird. Like the very original versions of Quest Rogue, like by Dog in particular, would just make loads of things and then play the quest, and then all my things are 5/5s, and that's got to be good, right? And then people went, nah, let's just put charge minions in and kill them in one turn. And Dog's like, yeah. I mean, it was day one. He's like, oh, he got #1 legend. It wasn't a bad deck. But he's like, yeah, I missed that. And then everyone just started spamming charge minions. And now Rogue's going for this slightly more controlling approach, just slightly, making sure they've got all the ways to deal with stuff. And it seems weird at first, but these Rogue decks are now just trying to beat everything. We're seeing very, very good legend finishes from the top players. And I think the skill gap between the best Rogue players and the not-so-good Rogue players is getting huge.
Definitely is. We saw that at DreamHack, for example. Zixo performed Quest Rogue phenomenally, but also his opposition, he got out-Quest Rogued at one point, which was just amazing to see what like a fantastic Quest Rogue player get outplayed by a Quest Rogue. I mean, it sounds silly, and people will say, oh no, it would have been just the mulligan, but there were some very intricate decisions that were made, which really impressed me with Quest Rogue.
Yeah, we saw Zixo go wide against Pirate Warrior, for instance.
Didn't Zixo win a game without using the quest as well?
He just didn't use the quest, just beat the guy down with 1/1s. Like, why?
I mean, to take the initiative to say, actually, I'm not going to try and bounce back anything this game. I'm just going to play the aggressor and hit you in the face for enough damage.
I think what people are doing now is they're doing a lot of the maths on, if I go wide, and your opponent's first of all got to deal with that wide in case you complete the quest. So they're not hitting you in the face, which buys you time to complete the quest. And then sometimes you just go, oh, I've drawn Mimic Pod into Shadow Step, bosh, 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 we've got a board of 5/5s. So by going wide, in unfavoured matchups in particular, I feel that by going wide, you just give yourself that chance to get lucky, if you like, to set up your best chance of winning. Yeah,
and I think just putting yourself with good odds is what Quest Rogue's trying to do, and I think that's why they've added Backstab as well. Not only is Backstab good at dealing with some of the aggressive matchups, but it's also about killing that Igneous Elemental sometimes. Like in the mirror, sometimes that Igneous Elemental just gets ignored. Even your player
Ignored Elemental.
Ignored Elemental, that's his new nickname. But the Backstab can just help kill it, and you can get, of course, the Flame Elementals to be able to put onto the board. So I like the addition of the Backstab, but I'm also being told that actually the Chinese players aren't quite ready yet. So we are going to go for a very quick break. We're very sorry. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
We're almost there. Quiet down, everyone. This is not like any of our previous expeditions. This will be far more ambitious. We're stepping into a land of primordial wonder. Infused with astonishing elemental energies. The plant life here holds very unusual properties. So don't touch anything. And while you may be excited to see the local fauna, you might want to make sure they don't see you. Because their powers of adaptation are devastating. Make no mistake. we will be tested at every turn. But if we stay on our guard, we might just survive. Now then, are you ready? Then let's journey into Ongoro Crater.
Welcome back, everybody, to Hearthstone Global Games. Still just waiting on the Chinese players to get online. I believe they have an update issue or patch issue of some sort, but we will be diving into the game as soon as possible. Meanwhile, welcome to Talkstone with Gaskin and Lorinda. We're going to bring you all the hot topics of Hearthstone.
Tell us what you'd like to talk about, and we'll ignore it because the delay's so long. But you know, you can try anyway.
Yeah, 50 minutes from now.
Yeah, we'll talk about whatever you said.
No idea. So, in confirmation, Gilgamesh is not playing today.
Right.
I know there's confusion with the graphics earlier, so that does mean that Revenge is going to be playing twice. I want to kind of pick your brain a little bit.
I haven't got much left. Don't pick too much.
I know. I don't want to take too much away from it. However, do you think it's harder only having 3 players rather than the 4?
Interestingly, I don't. I think in some ways it might even be easier. I think for a few teams have said they tell one guy to shut up. Well, if he's not there, you don't have to sort of tell which one to shut up. But obviously it's a little bit hard if you're correctly organised, then you will want as many people as possible, even if there's 9 other people on the team, say. You just tell them all to shut up unless they spot something. As long as everyone does what they're told, then it's better to have more. But actually, in the real world, maybe it's easier to coordinate with 3 than 4 sometimes.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of that throughout the global games, that just communication has been a really big issue for teams, and there's been a lot of disagreements with plays. It's why we've seen a lot of roping happening as well. It's why the games have been longer for Hearthstone global games, because even on the most simple of turns, you'll get a lot of discussion going back and forth between teams, and then you'll see the rope happen, and it's like, oh, they did all that just to armor up.
Yeah, just to press that button that's all they could do.
That everyone is screaming in chat saying, just armor up, dude, come on.
Yeah.
Like, we know what the play is, but they're thinking a few turns ahead.
And we have seen the play speed up as the weeks have gone by. Like, the first couple of weeks were very, very long. And I think the show time has come down from something like 11 hours to about 8 hours over the course of the global games. That is partially due to the team speeding up, because the meta's definitely not sped up.
No, the meta seems to be slowing down.
Right.
I mean, I cast our thoughts back to DreamHack when we were casting that, and there were a lot of control-heavy matchups. I mean, the Paladin versus Druid, and Paladin somehow winning. I mean, that's the weird thing. That's a matchup that Druid should just win outright every day of the week. It's the control killer, and then someone brings a control Paladin and outplays them. I mean, yeah, it blew my mind.
Yeah, there were some pretty good games, and like, people are exploring the meta better. We're seeing a lot of matchups that were previously considered to be very one-sided, like Taunt Warrior versus Quest Rogue. Used to be well, the Rogue just wins. Well, now the Warrior's starting to fight back, and it's not favoured, but yeah, if you've got someone like Kalento on the Taunt Warrior versus, I don't know, someone like you on the Quest Rogue, then suddenly the Rogue's not favoured anymore.
I would never want to see me play against Kalento with Quest Rogue.
Or anything.
That is definitely a loss, 100%. I would not be on the United Kingdom team, but saying that, no one is anymore because they're already out. So
maybe you would be next time.
Who knows? Maybe I'll go in for the votes and I'll have a little meme. So Omega Zero versus Lala Song is game number 1. Paladin versus Rogue. Yep. Last week we saw Omega Zero bring, I'm going to say a more aggressive Murloc Paladin.
Right.
However, it wasn't that aggressive. It was kind of a mid-range, but it had Blessing of Kings in it. That was the interesting kind of addition. It seems like people are taking out both of the True Silvers, well, keeping one True Silver, putting a Rallying Blade in, getting a Blessing of Kings in it, just having a little bit more options, trying to get, I don't know, a bit more damage in on the front.
Yeah, and sometimes getting that Blessing of Kings down early can also mean that you can set up your Spite Ridge Steed because something's going to survive till turn 6. One of the problems with Spite Ridge Steed we've been seeing is everybody knows now to just kill everything on turn 5, if possible. And so the Blessing just gives that extra bit of sustain. It's much harder to clear the board on turn 3. And there we go. It is the Quest Rogue, and it is at least an aggressive Paladin, possibly more so with that Seer in hand.
Yeah, the Cold Light Seer usually gives it away, but we did see last week, again, a Cold Light Seer appearing in like a mid-range version as well, rather than just an aggressive one. And, well, there's the Dream Wombo combo start of Tidecaller into Rockpool Hunter.
Yeah, just so ridiculously hard to deal with that exact start by any deck. Wonder how long it is before we start seeing more saps in rogues in general.
Well, I mean, it seems like people are trying to add a little bit of oomph to the deck. I mean, it's already got a lot of oomph, but they're trying to just change it a little bit. Interestingly, Lala Song actually lost to Quest Warrior last week. I think he wanted to bring, I think he had the choice of Warrior or Rogue, and he chose Warrior. He chose Pirate Warrior. And maybe this week he's saying, actually, I'm going to go against this, and I'm going to play my Rogue. And we'll see whether he can actually pull this off. Yeah,
all these teams have now played 6 matches each, so researching your opponents and being unresearchable has become a lot more important. Obviously, after 1 or 2 weeks, people just played the best decks or their best lineups. But now people are starting to try and second-guess each other. Those observations are getting much more important.
All the bounce backs for Lala Song, but nothing really to bounce back. I mean, I remember when Quest Rogue was first a thing, we saw Novice Engineer actually being used to complete the quest quite often. However, now we've just learned statistically it's not that great to use a 2-mana cost card to bounce back and forth.
Indeed, it is just really slow. Here, they've got to consider playing the Ferryman just to try and compete with this. But if they do, they're going to walk into Rockpool Hunter, and they know that's a massive threat. They also know that Omega Zero kept 2 cards in his opening hand. If he kept 2 cards, what's the other one? It's a good chance. Very good chance. So, yeah, they decide not to walk into that.
Yeah, and I think it's a wise decision as well. These bounce-back effects are probably going to be the only way you actually win this game. Yes, okay, Why is he a crab now, Lalasong? Oh, he's hoping for a crab?
Was he a crab? Oh,
I think he's hoping for a crab.
Yeah, he's looking. Yeah, doing the
hungry crab
motion there.
Well, that is a tell. I'm going to guess that there is a hungry crab in the deck, which we have seen being included in quite a few quest rogues, actually. More so in the meta about a month ago. The crabs have kind of fallen out of favour a little bit. Although at Seat Story, we saw Galaka Crawler and Hungry Crab being put in Oskaka's quest rogue. He took out the Stone Tusk Paws and put both crabs in.
It's one of those cyclic cards, a bit like Black Knight used to be, where the second everybody stops playing the tech card, everybody goes, there's no more crabs anymore. So they play more and more Murlocs, and then everybody puts the crabs back in, and you've got to catch the meta at the right point. You've got to be the one that's half a step ahead. If you're too far ahead, you end up behind, honest. A bit like me.
Sounds like it makes sense.
Sort of like my career.
Both Fireflies available in Lalasong's hand now, and has the bounce back. So he does have a way of trying to complete this quest if he would like. However, he is going to be facing down a bit of a beatdown.
Yeah, if Omega just picks up any 3-drop or Fury here, even if it's a bad one, he is just in such a tremendous position. If he picks up a War Leader, he just wins the game. Huh?
Well,
let's see if that's correct.
Well, might as well just finish. Let's next game. We're off. Who needs to cast? It's finished. Done. Great, GG.
Don't call it too early, because I would never do that.
And still, Lalasong hoping for that Hungry Crab. That is basically the only way he's going to turn this one around. And it's still not there. I mean, prep, Mimic Pod.
Crab.
Yeah. And then basically
double
wins
crab.
the game. Prep Mimic Pod. Mimic Pod.
Mimic odd.
Mimic is pretty odd.
It is. He's praying to the crab gods.
I mean, this is one of the situations where you get something like a Vanish, and then you just know you've lost the game. Useful Brewmaster. I mean, bounce back's usually good, but I mean, you're just gonna die, unfortunately. I can't see a way back into this for Lalasong and Malaysia. I mean, what can you do? You can maybe play a Firefly, then you can bounce back your Novice Engineer. Okay, you bounce back your Novice Engineer, look for a Hungry Crab. Yeah?
I'm just going to let you carry on finding ways to win
Youthful
this.
Brewmaster.
Yeah?
Coin out. No, it's not going to work. Coin out Novice Engineer, get Hungry Crab for next turn. You're still alive with 4 health.
Yeah? I mean, I'm just nodding and agreeing at this
Then you
point.
Hungry Crab, bounce back. Hungry Crab, bounce back again.
Job done.
I believe, Neil.
Do you?
Oh, there he is.
Where were you, he says?
Yeah, where were you 2 turns ago?
You're late.
And the true silver champion, unfortunately, will just finish this game off. China with a swift opening. Malaysia and Lalasong will be very frustrated they didn't get that Hungry Crab. It is annoying, isn't it, when you put that Tekken card in your deck and then it just comes right at the last moment just to rub salt in the wounds.
Yeah, and there'll be plenty of salt in those wounds, judging by the fact he was praying for it the whole game. And then it just turns up, same sort of result that Hungry had in their match, really.
And that's why we've seen this Murloc Paladin. Yes, okay, it developed into a very much control Paladin as of late, but the aggressive variant can work very well, especially against the likes of Quest Rogue.
Yeah, I mean, just if you do that and you get into Quest Rogue, you win a lot of the time. But I've been saying that the Rogue has been fighting back a little bit, especially against maybe Shaman, where they've started freezing stuff next to Flame Tongue Totem, and if you develop too early, they just get you. But against that sort of Paladin deck, you're just nothing's beating that start, to be fair.
No, it is not. And oh my, what is happening today? We have a Hunter versus Hunter, the bluff and the double bluff into the triple bluff. Lovely Chuka versus Revenge CCS.
Right.
Now, Neil, the position that Hunter is in at the moment is we have either Hunter or Hunter. There isn't really a variant. Okay, what is there? Secret or mid-range?
Yeah, there's the sort of slightly quicker one. There's the slightly slower one.
It plays
Hunter.
some relatively good cards on curve. If it can curve out well, if it can get the Razor more on turn 2, onto something like a Jordan McCaw, for example, anything that can stick, then maybe there is a good chance of winning as a Hunter. But when you're in the Hunter mirror, what do you think? I mean, this is a matchup that we really haven't seen much of in this meta.
Yeah, I saw a lot of it maybe 6 weeks ago, and then it just went missing because Hunter kind of went missing, especially in global games. But in the mirror, if it is just mid-range versus mid-range, going first is so stupid because you're the guy who gets to go Alley Cat Scavenging Hyena. And the other guy gets to go Alley Cat, oh.
Yeah.
Rip.
And then you need to be hoping for a kill command to try and deal with that scavenging
And
hyena.
if you do that, they just redevelop the
Then
board.
they put a Razor Maw on it, and then there's Divine Shield, and it's just, yeah, going first is going to be really important, but it's also about the mulligan as well.
Yes.
It's all well and good going first, but then if you don't get one of those 1-drops, you have to mulligan pretty heavily.
Yeah, we said that about the Shaman Mirror as well. Basically, if you get to go first, you're in a great spot, unless you miss, then you're even in a worse spot than if you're going second in the first place. If you miss the opening play, your opponent can just spam the board and you are done.
And I'm looking at what they played last week as well. Lovely Chook actually played Pirate Warrior. Revenge played Jade Druid, so a little bit of a switch
change up, right.
Yeah, again, this is the kind of read of all reads, trying to suss out what your opponent's playing, bring something a little bit different, try and go for that surprise element. And it has worked in the past, surprise elements, but other times it hasn't. At least, I think both teams will be happy that it's a Hunter Mirror. They may have been disappointed if they'd gone up against something else.
I mean, Lovely Chook did have Warrior as an option again, but if you get the Hunter into the Warrior and it's Taunt, you're okay, I feel. I know that people think Taunt's favoured, but honestly, high main's still high main. And the other way around would be Hunter against Mage, which is what they were trying to grab on the other way around for China. And Hunter's definitely favoured there, again, not by a huge amount. So Hunter versus Hunter's probably the expected result here.
We did see Hunter and Mage in the previous series, didn't we? But the Mage actually won that one in the end because they were able to get the Frost Bolts, they were able to get the removal, and the Hunter just ran out of steam. But there's going to be a lot of potential steam for both of these teams now in the mirror. I mean, you see the Hungry Crab.
Right, this is the problem when you take too many decks. Only one of them can play against Paladin. It might get to eat a Shaman Murloc from a Bilefin, from a Thingy Fin. Totem Fin?
What are you even? Primal Fin?
That's the one.
That's the one. Okay.
You know what I mean.
I
Totem Fin.
Totem Fin. New name.
This is why I'm not allowed to name cards.
I mean, it is a 1-drop beast. I mean, it doesn't have the same synergy that you would get in Druid, for example.
Yeah.
Being able to play Mark of Yasharaj, but it is a 1-drop that you could potentially turn into turn 2 Kraken Razor Maw. So
it fits naturally in this deck, and this is why Hunter is favoured against Paladin, because you can play it without. Even though I call it a tech card, it is definitely the deck where you want it the most. Taking it into the Rogue, you can kind of get away with it again because it's a 1-drop, but not so much.
And we're talking about going first then for Lovely Chook. Has he already tossed away his cards? No, okay. Well, no, yes, he has. So that was the mulligan that he ended up with, and I believe he just drew an alley cat right off the top. So I was going to say he mulliganed pretty hard, wasn't rewarded, but you know, play perfectly, get rewarded, get an alley cat off the top. And instantly Malaysia have to try and find an answer for it.
Which they seem to have. Like double Firefly, they did throw away the Hungry Crab because their intention was to coin Grandmother into another 2-drop. But Firefly is also a good reward, especially if there's 2 of them. These face down pretty well, but if they use their coin, they're not able to kill a Scavenging Hyena. So I think we'll just see them play 1 Firefly and just chill for coin Eagle Hornbow.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It depends what you think your opponent.
But then do you just both
do you just assume the worst and say, okay, there might be a hyena, so we only play 1, or do we take the initiative here? We know how important going first is. We can try and immediately take this board back this second.
So either those 2 plays, either playing 1 Firefly or playing both, just lose to Hyena. Not lose, but get a long way behind. Neither of them can deal with it, so you maybe just say I can't beat Hyena anyway and play both Fireflies here.
It is nice to see Hunter, though, in general. Because, I mean, the last 16 of DreamHack, there was no Hunter at all.
Right.
I mean, we saw very little Warlock as well, of course, but it is always good to see a deck played, and at the moment, China just top-decking perfectly. The curve is really working out for them. Malaysia actually opting just to go for the 1 Firefly, as you said, just in case. I think that was a very safe play.
Yeah, it's going to work out nicely as well for this Unleash with the coin if they want to go that route. There's the Flare. Would have been nice for them to get to a Mage somewhere along the line, but Flare's okay.
I mean, it's card draw at the end of the day that you might need a little bit later. It's not going to help in the tempo game, but...
And this is a really complicated turn. You're never going to get a better Unleash, but you might just be better off saving mana and spamming Fireflies and Flame Elementals, build up that wide board, keep that coin back for next turn where you can play another Flame Elemental plus your bow or your Unleash, or developing the Grandmother. All of these things are very good board control options right now.
It's also whether Malaysia have got any sort of read about what kind of deck they're going up against as well. If they know the meta well enough, they'll probably be saying, what's the likelihood of them having a secret in the deck? Probably pretty low. We have seen some secret hunter. However, generally hunters at the moment don't really run any secrets, so this flare's not going to get any real value off it.
Now.
Killing the cute cat. It's actually wrong to kill the cute cat, by the way. Apart from the fact that killing cute cats is wrong, if you kill the other one, if somehow a bounce effect ever happens, you want the one that develops the extra cat not to be in your hand.
Of course. But there's that hyena that we were talking about. I guess it's not as good now.
It's a 3-mana hyena, and it's not going to be that huge, and it can be dealt with a bow, with a hound, etc.
So alternatively, Animal Companion probably want to look for Misha in this situation.
Yeah, Leok might be okay because it allows you to kill both parts of the grandmother.
Huffer, not so great.
Yeah, Huffer seems like the worst one, which is a thing we say a lot these days, which is really strange. And the Fireflies are going to enable Malaysia just to get a tiny bit of board here.
This isn't an easy turn
Excuse me?
either. Yeah.
How did that sound? Yeah.
So you could just bow and you could just clear the board if you want to.
And
Unleash the
Firefly,
hounds.
yeah.
But you can't bow and drop a Firefly.
Oh, because it's turn 3.
It
That's
is.
not how 4 works, because they use the coin.
No. And
they'd probably
Unleash does the same thing.
Right.
Right. But you usually want to save Unleash and Scavenging Hyena as a one-bow combo, right?
You've got enough to do next turn, which has 4 mana available, to try and save the combo. You should pick up something to do next turn. If you don't, well, unlucky.
And something to do is also something China are going to be looking for as well. Rat Pack is the immediate choice. And there's a Hyena, so that's not going to help out just now. So it will just be an instant Rat Pack.
Hyena really good, though, with the Rat Pack, because if the pack gets procced, the Hyena can live off all the little bits that come from it.
How scared are you of this Rat Pack? I mean, not you personally. I know you are pretty terrified of rats in general, Neil. However...
I still cast with you.
Wow. However, I'm more like a shrew, I'd say. A weasel.
Yeah, weasel. We'll go with weasel.
Nice. I'm usually pretty scared of Rat Pack. I don't like letting it live because of Crackling Razormaw, because of Houndmaster. And it's going to get bigger. But he does have Unleash the Hounds, which is usually a good way to counteract whatever emerges from Rat Pack.
Yeah, it's a difficult choice. I think you're right. I don't think you want it to get buffed because of those reasons. You just buff it up with Houndmaster in particular is a bit awkward. And it's actually not that easy to kill it if they buff it with a Houndmaster without using a lot of resources.
Now.
But the downside is if you kill it now and they've got a Hyena in their hand...
Hey, but the Hyena's only getting one extra stat, right?
I think you kill it.
So the argument is you're keeping the bow to kill something that's a little bit more threatening.
Yep.
Oh, there's that Razormaw.
Like you say, I mean, they're going for the Hound's Hyena plane next turn.
Yep.
Which will be pretty nuts.
Yeah, because they're saying, okay, you're not going to be able to kill off what emerges from the Rat Pack this turn. So if you do buff it up, and then we can trade, we might get more. We can then get even more value from...
Yeah, the Hyena would just go off the charts.
Off the scales.
Off the scales.
Off the hook.
Wow.
Any more?
No, I'll let you win that one.
Okay.
One to you. I'll get you back later, though.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
I'm sure you know about the Rat Packs. So, he did it his way, by the way, is the flavour text. Are you old enough to get that joke? The Rat Pack.
Yeah, just about.
Sure.
Thanks, because my dad taught me that. Like, I mean, you are a similar age, so it's all right.
Yeah. But, you know, I think I've got the younger, more youthful mental age. As we're waiting for this play.
So, interestingly, it has gone for the Rhino here. And actually now that makes keeping the bow a lot better for Malaysia because they can just kill off this Rhino very comfortably. Along with Unleash the Hounds and Scavenging Hyena if they would like. So you could actually trade in the Wolf into the Rat Pack, then play Unleash, and then trade everything in.
There was a decision there for China. They could have killed off the Grandmother and then put the Rat Pack into the second half and then use the Rats to attack with as well on the same turn. And here comes Super Hyena. This thing is going to be difficult to deal with. We did see a deadly shot in Lovely Chuke's mulligan.
We did.
Might be an out for him there.
Still a 50-50 though. So Animal Companion into Huffer into Crackling Razormaw is always a way you could potentially deal with this hyena, but instead China just saying, well, a 6-5 Death Rattle high main is useful.
Oh, and you called this earlier. Divine Shielded 10-6 nonsense minions.
You could flare first if you wanted here as well.
Yeah, might as well.
If you think your opponent's not going to have any secrets, because it looks like they're very similar decks, you just go for card draw.
Depends on the build of your deck, right? If you think there's something good in there, like you've got your own deadly shot or Hunter's Mark in there, then I think you flare and try and hit that. But maybe your deck's just full of minions, in which case you might just do the 2 points of damage to face. You're hitting for 13 anyway. Going to go for some sort of Divine Shield action. There it is.
I like Divine Shield.
Yeah, they just got to do the math to make sure that hitting for 13 isn't what they want to do.
I mean, alternatively, you could trade into the high main and then kill off one of the hyenas that comes out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the safer approach.
Yeah, and
it also busts, beefs up.
Yeah, it might bust it the way it's going.
Yeah.
That'd be a good card design. A card that gets too big just blows up. So you have to manage it.
Not allow it to get too fat.
Yeah.
Otherwise it pops.
Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm not. No, I wasn't saying that, Neil. Come on. I'm not that mean. I am.
All right, China's struggling to get into this. Maybe they're going to try and find some sort of poison action from this Razormaw.
They needed. I think they wanted Huffer as well in that situation. Yep. That would have been nicer. So now you're going to have to go for poison. If you do get poison, then you're back in the game. Yeah, sort of. You're back in the game from what you can see. I mean, the other hyena goes up again.
Yeah, I'm just looking at how much damage Malaysia have got next turn. I can tell you, using my cast-up math knowledge, that is a lot.
That's good caster math knowledge.
A lot of damage.
Where do I learn such knowledge? Where did you get your fine wisdom?
Caster school.
Does that exist?
Shh, don't tell everybody. They'll all want to go there. I've seen how good we are. All right, China doing what they can with their board. Accepting they're going to have to take a beating for one turn. But at least putting themselves under the hungry crab. At least putting themselves in a position where they can get the board back if they get lucky with that deadly shot in deck, with kill commands, that sort of thing. They've got plenty of outs that they're playing to here. And
this is where it gets a little bit awkward for Malaysia here.
Right.
Like, do you kill off Leok? Or are you just saying, no, we're going to put 16 damage to face. Next turn, if you can't deal... I mean, that's the thing. They can deal with it on board. That's the worrying. Like, you just put this straight to face. 100%.
So I think you have to... I'd rather see a hero power here, I think.
Job's done.
Than what?
Than Crab. You can do both because you've got 7 mana. I don't know where that came from. Yeah. Put it to 12, meaning 3 hero powers plus Leroy is lethal. And China are going to spend a lot of that time dealing with board. They've got to deal with a 16-9 or it kills them. They can't set up a taunt, so... A lot of their potential damage is going to be on dealing with this.
That is a welcome kill command.
It is. And they are going to set up their own damage-full board, which is a 2-turn lethal. And, oh, don't worry about things.
Okay, this is actually pretty tricky for Malaysia. I think you have to kill command this turn as well as hero power.
So if you Leroy face and hero power, which is...
You don't want to give them any extra damage, though, do you?
Well, let's work out the clock, right? So if you Leroy and hero power, that's 8 to face, puts them on 4. You kill them next turn with your kill command plus hero power.
Works the same way, the other way around, right?
But
except,
you're facing, yeah.
Except there might be a taunt.
Yeah.
If you hero power and kill command this turn, then next turn you've got Leroy plus your hero power. And you're not giving them 1/1s that are actually 2/1s because Leok's on the board.
So their number of damage, the stuff they'll have available is 8, 10, 12, 14. They'll have 16. They'll need to draw 4 damage off the top to kill you. They've seen 1 kill command already. You've seen a high main, so there's probably not a Leroy. They're going to do it your way and think that the taunt is not likely and this is safer this way.
I think it is safer this way. I mean, you don't want to give them just 16 damage being 2 off. And there's the Tundra Rhino that actually would have finished the game if they had gone for the Leroy way. Because the Leroy would have given them 2 whelps, those whelps would have been buffed up. They would have been 2-1s, and then that would have been 18 damage exactly.
Yeah. Really?
Well, actually, it would have been 19. It would have been one over because the Tundra Rhino is 3 attack. So,
correct play,
yeah,
correct
correct
ordering,
play.
playing around the right thing there, giving themselves the best chance, and rewarded for it, which is nice to see. 1-1, Malaysia level it up.
Yep, and they'll be feeling a little bit better after praying for a crab to arrive in game 1. The crab did arrive in game 2, but it wasn't even needed to finish the game off. In the end, you just need a 16 attack scavenging hyena to win games, apparently.
Apparently, and only just.
Only just, yeah, that was
that's what's ridiculous about those
a little
hyenas.
bit close.
We've seen that before in Hunter Mirrors, where the team that gets the first hyena sometimes has it dealt with, and the second one's just free to keep growing, and the team that gets the ball second can occasionally come back, but that was just too much damage with the Leroy as well.
And China almost like drew perfectly at the start of the game, getting the alley cat, getting Kindly Grandmother as well. I was thinking, all right, they'll do okay here, but in the end, they're not able to take the victory. So let's move on to the third game of the series, and it's going to be Jason Joe versus Revenge CCS, playing again, of course, because Gilgamesh is not available to play today. And it's going to be Shaman versus Druid, Neil.
Yep, Shaman was paired with the Rogue. Between those two classes, you can, assuming that Rogue's always Quest Rogue for the sake of argument, I know it's not, you can pretty much beat anything. Shaman's weak to the Taunt Warrior, which the Quest Rogue isn't, we think, and such like. And Malaysia's sort of sticking to this strategy of just going for the good classes, pairing them with the bad ones, and generally picking the good ones, although we did see them play Hunter a minute ago because it was the right time.
And we saw last week Jason Joe playing Evolve Shaman against Hunter as well. And Evolve Shaman, okay, it's really shone in the past, well, month or so, hasn't it? It's really come to grace. We've seen how effective it is in tournament play as well as the Hearthstone Global Games. But now we're starting to see tweaks come into it as well. It seems like people aren't happy. They don't think it's perfect.
People are never happy.
Never happy. Sea Giant.
Guys like me.
Sea Giant is the reason.
Right.
We saw with the victory from Mitsuhide at Seat Story, he actually had 1 Sea Giant instead of 1 Devolve in his Evolve Shaman.
Like that.
I mean, this might not even be Evolve Shaman. I mean, maybe Jason Joe is going to go for a double bluff. But
he has been known to play weird stuff in the past. He's a guy that always plays dirty on 2 no matter what he's up against. Hey.
More crabs.
Yeah.
He's going to be the aggro druid then for Revenge CCS. So he's actually gone for the double bluff because he played Jade Druid last week. And he said, well, maybe they think I'm going to bring this again. And having the Hungry Crab might work out here. As you said, Primal Fin Totem does come into play.
Yeah, Primal Fin is handy with the crab, but I think with this particular hand, you're just going to have to play it on 1 and unlucky. Depending exactly what they do here after Mulligan. Did they keep the Hydra? Or did I just miss them throw something away?
They've not tossed anything away yet. There we go.
Actually throwing the crab as well. Getting the Raven rewarded for that because they have got a lot of 1-drops in there to take that chance with.
Yeah, that's very brave. And there's the Mark of the Lotus as well. So things could get a little bit ugly. That Maelstrom Portal is going to be very important for Jason Joe. If he can combine that with a Wrath of Air totem, then that could be GG. Also, Devolve can really help in this matchup, mainly for when, of course, you get all those pesky treants on the board.
The thing is here, though, this is a strong matchup for the Shaman normally, but Malaysia's hand and China's hand don't seem to fit very well into that normal scheme of things. That's why you play the games.
And you'd think that this matchup's favoured for the Evolve Shaman just because of Devolve, but actually, sometimes when you devolve all those treants, yes, okay, they lose all their mana, but they've still got, like, what, 6 1-1s on the board.
Savage Draw the next turn.
Exactly. It's still a very big concern, and there's the Glaka Crawler getting its value as well, and what a pain that is for Jason Joe.
Yeah, just so much crab. Patches are really bad in this match. No one likes drawing patches. It's a meme. Everybody hates it, blah, blah, blah. Everybody draws patches more often than everybody else. But in this particular matchup, you really need that extra board presence that patches provides from one of your pirates. And this is just the opposite of a good start here for China.
Yeah, it's awful. And Malaysia have to be careful, though. You don't want to pull the trigger too quickly, because next turn you could, if you want to, just go Firefly, Firefly into Mark of the Lotus.
Yep.
But then you are in Devolve range.
Yep.
And then suddenly everything is just a little bit rubbish. And you welcome the opportunity of coming back into the game from China. Instead, they can just play a Firefly and Hero Power if they want. Not overcommit to them.
Or they could just spam all the Fireflies and Elementals, but not buff them, waiting to use the buff until they can all attack, just to make sure the buff doesn't get debuffed. That is the biggest problem. And just take your chance with the correct totem into Maelstrom Portal.
Have you jotted down that Malaysia have won this game?
I do that a lot.
Okay, no, I was just double checking.
That's the thing that I do, is I write down results sometimes, and then if I have to cross it out, I can put a note by it and say, this was a special game because...
Hey, I like your thought process. I'm going to write down that China are going to win.
Go for it.
And then I can cross it out and say it's a special game, because actually, Revenge TCS are dominated from the off.
Go for it. I like your thought process.
It's been a nice slobber knocker of a game so far.
Wow.
But it's going to be a question, do you overcommit here? Is he going to go for the Mark of the Lotus and actually just say it? No, he's not. He's being very intelligent about his play.
You said that before he traded into the Wrath of Air totem. I was like, no, just go face. Let's see what you say then.
Yeah.
Predicting the future there from
Of course, have to kill it off. Now, China and Jason Joe have the decision. Do we go for a totem, try and roll Wrath of Air? We have the coin into Maelstrom if we do get it.
I think you have to. I just think you lose if you don't do that here. You've got to assess how often do we win this by playing like normally, which would be, I don't know, play a Stonehill or develop a Jade Claws or play a Manatide Totem. I mean, nothing normal works here, so you have to go for the abnormal, win your
Let's go.
like this, and then suddenly you've turned a 1%er into a 10%er.
Okay, game on.
And now the game is on indeed.
Game is on. You scribble that out, Neil. Patches being drawn. I mean, I guess in this situation, actually, it's not too bad because it means they can actually kill off this Wrath of Air totem as well. And they do have to follow up the next turn.
As well as what?
Mana. As well as killing off the worm.
Okay.
The mana worm.
Just wondered. Yeah, they've got the opportunity to buff everything at the Mark of the Lotus and not play around Devolve. They'll probably be aware that Devolve's not there because otherwise they would have devolved into the portal last turn rather than trying to roll.
Yeah, potentially, yeah. Because then you just turn them into 1/1s because they turn into wisps.
Yeah, so why bother rolling the 1/4?
So that's a good read that Malaysia should have.
So they can afford to use this Mark of the Lotus now. They might want to save it for the living mana just because it's so ridiculously strong. And this is just all the messing around before you get on with winning the game.
Yeah. I mean, you have to use your hero power here to get rid of the air totem for sure, and that's why. However,
Portal.
It still works out pretty well for Jason Joe. I mean, you've got Jade Claws into Maelstrom Portal. You clear up this board nicely. You've regained momentum, and you can start plopping things on the board following turns. Yes, okay, there's going to be a living mana, but he doesn't know that.
Yes, okay, there's going to be 5 2/2s.
Yeah.
You're right, though. He doesn't know that. And
so does he make that read then? Does he say, actually, this isn't worth Maelstrom portaling?
Yeah, I mean, you can go Jade Claws, kill the 1/2, Patches, kill the 3/1. They have a Patches left. You've saved your Maelstrom Portal for emergencies.
I think I like that. I think I actually prefer it. It seems a little bit, I mean, it's off curve and it's a little bit more awkward. However, you're saving the possibility of getting Devolve into Maelstrom or Wrath of Air Totem into Maelstrom again.
Maybe it's even tempting. I think you almost always want to Patches a 3/1. What you really want to do is roll a totem at some point to reduce the cost of your thing from below, so that next turn you can play the Manatide and the thing from below as well. So maybe we'll see them take a chance and just roll a totem here. But the Jade Claws is the more natural play. Yeah, getting a totem down, not rolling one, but yeah, this works.
Yep, getting a totem down, as you rightly said. Also gives you card draw, looks for more answers as well, potentially for that Devolve.
Now, I think Malaysia have to go with the read here that Devolve wasn't in hand, even though you do save your Devolves as long as possible against this. And that's what they've gone with. So Wrath of Air will work. Devolve will work. Double thing from below is not possible.
No. So I think you start this turn with a hero power.
Yeah, and see where you're at. If you get the 1 in 4, you win the game on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, he's already been lucky once. I guess alternatively, like, he's hovering over thing from below plus Jade Claws. It's always a bit risky killing off one of the Treants. If you're going to do that,
you kill the 1/2.
Something else, yeah. Not as lucky this time, Jason Joe.
Like you're just picking on it. No, you can't keep
I sound like an
doing
evil villain then, didn't I?
Yeah, you look like you sometimes.
Not quite as lucky this time, Jason Joe. Maybe not. I could definitely be a
Look,
villain.
yeah, with my name, I run into evil villain attempts of comedy all the time. You're not the first to go there.
Didn't someone say that at passport control the other day? They were like,
Yeah?
we meet again, Mr. Bond.
Yeah, so I'll explain that story later. I'll explain it now, because this turn's going to take a while. Yeah, I went through passport control, and the passport control lady was just like, you're called Bond, that's funny. Then the next week I came back, same woman, and I just went, yeah, we meet again. And she just nodded and sort of smiled and cringed a bit, like everybody in chat does when I speak, so that's fine.
At least they can relate as well. Jason Joe, of course, not opting to kill one of the treants because you don't want to play into something like Power of the Wild. However, there is a Mark of the Lotus.
Mark of the Lotus. Is that like Shaun of the Dead?
Yeah, slightly, except less gory and more fun.
Which is the whole point of Hearthstone Global Games.
It does mean that China's pretty much only out now as Devolve.
It does, but they have double thing from below. That eats up a lot of damage,
True.
to be fair.
True.
And I mean, Malaysia still don't have any actual mana. Malaysia need to work out how much they want to push face here. Obviously, that's the point of the game. They can push 17?
I mean, they could try. I mean, I think you kill off one mana. Do you kill off the mana tide totem?
The thing is, when you start killing things off, you might as well kill them all off, because
Yeah.
if you put them down to 5, you're setting up a later on swipe situation with hero power. But if you start killing bits off, then suddenly you're out of range of that one turn kill, so you might as well just kill the lot, or a huge chunk of them. Yeah. This makes a lot more sense to me. You know they couldn't kill the stuff last turn, and so you've taken away their chance of drawing into it for 2 turns' time.
Trying to threaten lethal as well.
Yeah.
Of course, just making sure you put enough damage that you can still win next turn if there is no answer.
Yeah, they could afford there to just take down the 1-2 as they went.
So Jason Joe can hero power play double thing from below. That's potential 10 damage soaked up. He's also can kill off patches. There's 15 damage left on board.
So they've still got some sort of hope to look at it, but yeah.
They can use Mark of Yasharaj to make that a 17 damage plus hero power 18. So they can get through a little bit, chip China down to potentially 7, but of course you have to work it out because it's 3 attack minions, or you're also going to be sacrificing some of that damage depending on how you trade.
It's amazing though how this Shaman deck is so resilient. It's just had a terrible time here, and it's still hanging in there. And this is why everybody is starting to dislike playing against it, I think.
So the role of the Wrath of Air Totem, of course, changed the game plan for Jason Joe and puts them in a very comfortable spot. Naturally, you'd be instantly thinking, right, okay, Mark of Yasharaj onto one of these treants, I can deal with the thing from below comfortably. However, you don't get the value of the draw. But I feel like you might have to do it in this situation.
Yeah, so if you do that, you end up hitting 3 to face, maybe 4, depending how you choose to do it. You play a Raven, a Bloodsail Corsair. If you think that gets you there, or if you think that gives you enough draws to do it, then you have to go that way. The other way is you sacrifice your whole board, but you get a 4/4 Raven and a card. It's close.
Sacrifice. I mean, you're going to use the hero power to kill the 2-1 for sure. And if you're really worried about the Wrath of Air Totem, you could trade first, of course, so it doesn't get Divine Shield or whatever.
You've got to expect, though, that Jason Joe's got a handful of removal. He's had no minions all game. So what's his hand full of?
Memes.
Handful of memes. And they do clear up the board here. Getting that pesky Divine Shield generator and hoping for 2 turns worth of lethal. Nope.
No one's avenging you today. Except potentially Jason Joe. He will do his best. So, Jade Claws, Jade Lightning, another thing from below as well. You've got all the tools actually to put a big old block in the way of revenge.
This is interesting, because they take the Tar Creeper, they can play it now.
Ooh, Tar Creeper
alongside
plus.
a thing from below. How do you lose if you do that?
Double swipe.
With 7 mana?
Well, yeah, I mean, not this turn, but like over the course of a couple of turns, you're still alive.
So 2 swipes.
Yeah. A swipe and then another swipe, which, I mean, we don't actually see that much of in Aggro Druid.
Yeah,
a
you
lot of
quite
Aggro
often don't
Druid
have them at all. Sometimes you only have 1. You do see 2 sometimes.
sometimes.
But this seems a little bit quicker than your average Aggro Druid. A lot of them play Bitter Tides as well as the Living Mana.
Yep.
This one seems to have had just more 1-drops.
Although this did have at least one bitter tide.
It did.
We did see that in Mulligan, didn't we? And that's going to be a pretty duff draw if that does come off the top.
Shell Shapers, Druid of the Claws. There's some heavier builds, but this hasn't got any of that. Maybe it's got a swipe lurking.
I mean, even a double swipe is still... Okay, living mana, I mean, can somewhat help you get back in the game. A double swipe, of course, still takes him down to just 2. It would be a double swipe combined with maybe something like a living mana that can trade it.
Savage Roar. We might see him do something here to not get all of the mana into 2/2s. So he's got some mana saved so he can Savage Roar next turn, for instance. So we might see a hero power here so that he actually gets to keep 2 mana. So next turn, if he draws Savage Roar.
I mean, it's only going to put 7 on board anyway. So he will still have 1 mana. And then next turn, he will have 2 mana to work with.
No, he's used a hero power, so he'll now save some. Right? Oh, okay. I see.
I know it. I've been there before.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
I've not done it before. I'm quite sad.
Still get the 7 treants, but it does mean that he does have the possibility of getting Power of the World next turn. He's got Mark of the Lotus, still 1 more left. He's only used the 1 earlier.
Yep.
So Jason Zoot needs to try and
just trying to work out the situation where you do use your mana, and it's not that one.
Well, the way you do it is by keeping stuff on the board.
Sure.
So if he had kept his Raven
then
on the board,
then he
might have
actually
been
that way round.
Yeah.
That's the play I was.
That's what you were going
to,
for.
But I was going it all wrong because I'm stupid today. All right.
It's very early, Neil. Come on. It's
Don't like that excuse. I should have gone to bed earlier if it's early.
You did go to bed early, though.
This is true.
I'm not going to state on stream how I know that. However,
just take it.
Moving
take it
swiftly on.
Next case.
So actually, this is somewhat awkward for Jason Joe. He does have the Jade Claws to deal with one of these treants if he wants to, but then he's playing into Savage Roar. If you clear off any of these treants...
Yeah.
So instead, he's just going to be pushing some damage.
Okay.
So now, Revenge can actually push enough damage to make sure that swipe actually is a possibility.
And he's not in danger of dying anytime soon either.
No.
He's got to keep an eye on Bloodlust. But...
Okay, so if he is keeping an eye on Bloodlust, so naturally you would trade into the Stonehill Defender,
Yep.
and you would kill the Tar Creeper as
Yep.
well. Then you've got 4 minions left on board with, what, 5 attack? So
Yep.
potentially 17.
Good man, you worked it out the good way.
If there was a Jade Lightning as well, that's actually 21. So, depends how scared you are of it. I like the hero power into the 1/1 because you can set up for the swipe if you wanted to push 6 to face now. Alternatively, you could just outright win the game if you trade, because we've seen both Maelstrom portals.
Yep.
A devolve, okay, a devolve into what? What are you going to do after that? No Maelstrom portal.
Yeah, no way of killing it all off. There's no one ever plays Lightning Storm in this deck. Sometimes think they should just for surprise value, but no one ever does. One day someone will walk into one. And now you go face because you've got to set up next turn lethal.
Evolve's not going to help either.
So Jade Lightning 1, Claws another hero power is 8. You can evolve a board of things and see what happens.
So you kill off 3, you're down to 6, and there's 4 on board. So you're alive.
You're alive and you might have some taunts. There'll be a 3/3 and a 4/4. 3 drop and a 4 drop and a 1 drop if you count the totem to evolve.
So do you actually not evolve the totem because you've got a nice 1 and 4 of potentially rolling the totem?
Yeah, I would actually do the other things, then evolve and then roll the totem and try and get the taunt totem as well to slow things down there. Because this is much less likely to produce a taunt this way, and 2 drops aren't very good. They're okay, but they're not. I'd rather roll the totem.
Yeah, you give yourself a 1 and 4, but maybe Jason Jones made the calculation of saying, actually, I think I might get a taunt from this. He doesn't, but he is still alive.
Yeah, barely alive, but alive. Remember, that point of damage didn't go face last time from Malaysia. Oh, there's some damage. Malaysia didn't go face with their hero power last time. They did choose to kill a minion.
It's true. Bloodsail, of course, says finally going to get some value. It's been
there's
sat
no
in the
patches,
hand
it's
for
being
quite a
used.
while. Yeah.
So it's not lethal this way.
I bet they're asking the question, though. You always get to the situation, you're like, did we use patches?
Yeah, right.
Did we? And
And
with
then was
4
it, well,
players...
of course we did. It's, you know, opening hand every game.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, but you know.
And there's a biteweed, if you don't know what a biteweed does. It's like a mini Edwin. Didn't see as much play as I thought
Edwin
it was
Van
going
Leaf?
to. There we go. I mean, I would say you're funny, but you're not as Blizzard
It's
that
just-
actually came
I'm
up
just,
with
I'm
that.
just a play quest.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you say, it's not seen as much play as we expected, but there's still time.
There is still time. Sometimes cards do just pop out and join the meta.
Join the meta.
Say, hey guys, did you remember me?
So this is a snowball effect from last turn where they didn't roll that totem. Next turn they'll have an even better chance of rolling the taunt, even if they didn't get it first time. So that's twice now they've sort of cost themselves a taunt, if you like. All right, what can they win with? Another evolve would be handy.
Firefly won't. So they can trade into the Bitter Tide, they can kill off one of the Treants, they can then roll a Taunt Totem, they're just dead. So there is no way back into this for China.
Yeah, 4 minions versus 4 minions, whatever they are, plus hero power is 5 versus 4. That's a lopsided battle when you're trying to do 1 point of damage.
Yep, so the concede does come out, and Malaysia take a 2-1 lead. Now remember, both of these teams are 1-0 up, so a win puts them in a very dominant position in the group, and as I said, depending on results later, they could be guaranteed to go through, so that'll be such a fantastic position to be in during the second week of Phase 2. But well played from both teams, actually. I was thinking China were going to get back into it when the Maelstrom and the Wrath of Air came out, but actually some good decision-making from Malaysia in total throughout this series.
If it wasn't for that second living mana, I think they take that down for China, though. So they got themselves into a good position and didn't quite squeak it out, just use that second living mana.
And that's what Aggro Druid can do, right? The Token Druid, when it gets both living manas in the top 15 cards, it's so hard to beat, especially when you've already used both Maelstrom portals as well.
Bitter Tide's also quite annoying for a deck that hasn't drawn its devolves. So it's an extra thing you need to devolve. You just can't deal with it otherwise. There's no hex.
Game number 4 then is going to be Nightwalk versus Chonga, and it is going to be Mage versus Warrior. Last week we actually saw Nightwalk play the Light Warden Priest, which was a very interesting game, and Chonga had the Evolve Shaman, so again, people just switching things up a little bit, trying to be unpredictable, and now China need to win, otherwise they're going to be sitting at 1-1 in the table, and that means that they are definitely not safe.
Both teams have saved their players, though, for the ace match till game 4. So if it goes to 2-2 now, they both can have the Warlock decision in game 5.
Usually pretty easy decision as well.
Just don't do it. So Druid Mage and Warlock, and Paladin Warrior and Warlock, the two options. So it's kind of going to be just Druid Mage, Paladin Warrior.
That's usually how it goes down. All right, so Mage versus Warrior. So in DreamHack, we actually saw more Pirate Warrior being brought than we saw Control Warrior or Taunt Warrior or whatever you want to call it, Quest Warrior these days. Do you think that that has also been replicated in global games as well, or do you think that it's just safer to bring Quest Warrior in this format?
I think we've seen about 50-50. In fact, we've seen slightly more Pirates in this
I think we might
to
have.
date because it's just... It always fills a gap, but so does Taunt Warrior. You can just literally pick either or. It's how it works out, and I feel that people are drifting back towards Taunt Warrior, though, and that will be an interesting spot against the Mage. It's one that I always like to watch.
It is an interesting one, and we're also, and I say this about every deck, but we're still seeing people try and change things with... We're trying to see people get away from Quest Warrior, actually. There's a lot of Control Warrior variants that people are trying to see if they can succeed with them. They're not as successful as Quest Warrior. Quest Warrior is just the best, especially if you end up in a mirror.
That's nice.
He's the
Just
man.
fanboy.
If you end up in a mirror, like if you, let's say you do play some sort of Control Warrior, and you come up against a Quest Warrior, you just get absolutely destroyed because more 8 damage constantly, turn after turn.
So that's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. And you
But
can't deal
on
with
the other side, you see the Quest Warrior throws the quest away in about half the matchups, and that leads people to say, well, why am I playing this card if I just don't want it? I'm guaranteed in my opening hand, and I don't want it in my opening hand, and that's why people are trying to go for the Control Warrior. So definitely a thing that can turn up, but it doesn't seem to turn up and do well as often as maybe you would imagine from that logic.
Yeah, certainly. It's something that still needs development. For Mage, on the other hand, again, we're getting to a pretty certain kind of archetype that we like with Mage. I say we, I mean the public, because...
So I know you love it.
I mean, when I play against it, very much despise Discover Mage because they always discover the answers, but that's what makes it so fun and so entertaining. That's why we saw it played so much when Aguro came out, because you have so many options. There are so much decisions. You get more outs, for example. It's frustrating to play against, but boy, is it fun when the luck's on your side.
And we are going to get that matchup. The control-y type mage of some sort versus Chonga playing the quest warrior. And the question always is, do you throw away the quest? And my answer is, I've got a war axe, so I'm going to throw away the quest.
Wow, that's brave.
I think if you don't have the war axe, you keep the quest because you need the sustained damage. I'm just going to try and run them out of stuff. I'm going to use my Sleep with the Fishes maybe. I'm going to use my war axe to make sure they don't mana worm me. And I'm just going to put taunts up and slow it down and make it so they can't kill me. And I don't need to kill them. They'll just die. They'll run out of stuff.
And Warrior's not in the same position against Mage that it used to be because of the loss of Justica Trueheart, of course.
Yeah.
You can't get out of range as easily. However, we have seen a lot of Quest Warriors run shield blocks, for example, that can really help get you out of range.
Armorsmith, Ali Armorsmith if it sticks.
Yeah, there is plenty of tools to do so. I mean, we don't actually know if this is Discover. This could be just Freeze Mage with the neater secrets in it, for all we know, or at least a variant of it. For example, like George C kind of made a control-y / freeze-esque type mage.
And Malaysia, like, keeping the quest, it's very much, I think people are slightly in favour of keeping it, but I don't like keeping it. Always keep an eye on when they win the game, did they actually use the quest, or are they still armouring up? You're often so low on health when you stabilise as the warrior against mage that you can't use the Sulfuros, you need more armour. So it'd be interesting to see how that works out for them. It's just a matchup I enjoy watching the decisions in.
So Acolyte of Plane, Acolyte of
He's a
Plane
bit boring. Yeah,
is just, you know, standard card. Like, he's just, yeah, he's there.
He's a bit vanilla minion.
He's been around for a while. Acolyte of Pain, Antonidas as well. I mean, maybe I'm leaning towards some sort of freeze variant here. We certainly saw a lot of freeze back at DreamHack. More freeze than Discover Mage, surprisingly, actually.
And then there's the hybrid stuff that comes in where you basically play freeze mage, you just chuck a couple of mana worms, a couple of Firelance portals in for good measure. Why not? It just delivers so much more damage. And freeze mage doesn't quite have access to the huge amounts of damage it used to have. So it does need that chip damage from the 2/3s. So why not throw in a mana worm if you can afford to get rid of a blizzard or maybe an Acolyte of Pain from your deck?
Yeah, and of course those glyphs really help finding extra damage as well. Maybe that's why Malaysia made the decision we want to keep the quest, because actually we want to finish this game before we allow China to run away with it. Because if they are concerned about something like an Antonidas, like the glyphs, if they think there's just too much burn that they can't get away from, they want to finish the game as soon as possible. Certainly not an easy thing to do, but it is doable.
Yeah, it's going to need to be. They're just not getting anywhere, of course. The Acolyte of Pain here is just a trap. Malaysia have pulled this out now. Now
It's a trap.
Nice. Nice. Akbar. And now they're just going to be able to War Axe this down. It's going to cost them mana, but they're not going to worry about that too much. They're going to get rid of a key card from the mage. And of course, the Acolyte is a giveaway as to what they're up against.
Yeah, you don't want to let it get any value. I mean, you might be tempted to be like, oh, okay, actually, I want to get my quest a little bit further, but...
Yeah, the downside here as well is 2 turns in a row now you're going to waste mana.
Yeah.
Because next turn you haven't got anything either. So you're costing yourself the equivalent of 2 armor by wasting 2 mana.
Unless you get a Stonehill Defender into a 1-drop, for example.
Well, yeah, sure.
Yeah, a 1-drop taunt.
Sure, they happen.
They do exist. Shield Bearer.
Yeah.
1-drop taunt.
Yeah.
0-4.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Pressure on.
Puts a little bit of pressure. It's another taunt. Gets you closer to completing that quest. That's an 8 damage per turn. Don't know why I'm talking like this.
But you always do.
Going up every sentence.
I can't keep going. Anyway, moving swiftly on with my deep manly voice.
I wish I had one of those.
What
Maybe
voice?
one day. So I like the Stonehill Defender. I mean, alternatively, you could play an Acolyte for your own, but Stonehill Defender, look for something else. It doesn't have to be a 1-drop. Of course, I jest when I say a 1-drop would be nice. You've got a follow-up of Ali Armorsmith into Ancient Blossoms. You're looking in a decent position.
I wonder if you try and get another 5-drop so that you don't have to play the Ali Armorsmith on 5, just so that they deal with whatever 5-drop you play, and then the Ali Armorsmith actually survives later on.
But Malaysia going down the route of, actually, we want to try and armor up every turn, if
Which
possible.
doesn't fit in with the plan of keeping the quest.
No, you are completely right.
but this is the plan you often end up on. And in fairness, sometimes you are looking for a way to just finish the game, and obviously blasting someone in the face for 8 every turn does that pretty well.
Yeah, I love it when that happens.
So China getting that chip damage evolved slowly onto the board now. Obviously, I say it every time, but just ripping those secrets out of your deck is very important.
Now, Dirty Rat is always pretty juicy against a Freeze Mage if you have an Execute in hand.
Right.
You can't risk it without any sort of removal.
Right.
Because if you do pull something like an Antonidas, then you're just...
Yeah, you want the Antonidas out their hand, but you don't want it out their hand on their terms. It's like, here's a 5/7 that just buys you a million fireballs.
But Alex Straza is also a fantastic pull, but again, you want to have something to deal with it. So I think Malaysia will be leaning towards an Ali Armorsmith here.
Yeah, the problem with the Ali Armorsmith is it is just going to get fireball pinged at the very least, and if that happens, it just gains you no armor, and the whole plan is, not the whole plan, but a large part of the plan is to just gain that armor.
So if you're worried about that, do you Stonehill Defender and Hero Power then?
Or even Acolyte playing a hero power. How do they deal with the Acolyte without a Frostbolt?
Yeah, try and...
And you're threatening to bump into the Arcanologist.
Yeah, try and absorb some of that burn damage that's possible from Nightwalk.
Yeah, that's what they're going to do. Just go for maximum armor by saving these Armorsmiths until such a time that maybe they get some attack value out of them. Because if it goes unchecked, the Ali Armorsmith just wins the game on its own. It's a card that the Freeze Mage has to kill.
And Malaysia will actually be thinking about last week when they faced off against I know it was a Burn Mage, but they were actually running Shaman. No, Murloc Paladin, I think, actually. And they somehow managed to get a Prophet Velen on the board for their opposition.
Right.
We saw a 24 damage Fireball come through, because there was double Prophet Velen, thanks to the Molten. And it was absolutely unreal. So that will definitely be playing in the minds of Malaysia. It was Gilgamesh playing, though.
Playing on my mind now, to be honest. Terrifying.
By Gilgamesh not being here, maybe that's allowed Malaysia just to try and forget that horrendous...
I don't think you'll ever forget that. That's just walking with fire, basically. Right, Tar Creeper going to be a thing.
And remember, you can't walk with fire if you are a Malaysian pregnant woman.
That is very, very true. No fire walk with me for them.
And they can't carry water behind their backs.
I can't carry water behind my back anyway.
No?
How does... I don't even understand. Some of my arms...
I didn't make up these rules, Neil.
No. You didn't?
I didn't.
I think this is on your terms. Right. So Blizzard, not going to be much use at any point.
No, the trouble is for China and Nightwalkers, they've not really been able to develop much either to contest this board of Malaysia. They're just kind of waiting for the big things to happen.
Right. And it's allowing Malaysia to just do things on their terms, which could indeed lead to this quest being complete to being valuable, to be fair.
Interesting that they were going to ping off the Acolyte here.
Like, what would heal it? I can't...
Yeah,
Surely you want to get that point of damage into the face.
Yeah,
I don't think the Acolyte gets healed by any point. It does... Does it anything? I guess it just saves 2 damage on one of the minions on the board, but nah.
I like sending as much damage to face as possible.
Yeah, you can see their plan is to get out of range with the armor, so this does protect your 2/2 slightly though. It just puts an extra 2 damage into your Tar Creeper if they decide to get it that way. I mean, you just have to instantly look how many cards are in hand. You want to Acolyte, Ghoul, Whirlwind, but there's no hurry for that.
I don't think you need to.
Just chill.
Ali Armorsmith, Hero Power,
Yeah.
trade off to the Arcanologist. Or even you don't have to if you don't want to, if you want to push a little bit of damage.
I think you trade off. I think you press the magic button.
The magic button that turns into even more of a magic button a little bit later on.
Yeah, I don't know if it does. I like the button just how it is. That's why I'm not keen on keeping the quest.
Okay, so do you think once they complete the quest, they may actually opt to just not play Sulfurous just so they can keep armoring up?
So that happens a lot. Yeah, it depends what position you're in at the time. Sometimes you're just so far ahead you want to get the 2 or 3 turn lethal. But yeah, quite often you just don't, which is the problem. The downside of throwing the quest is you draw it halfway through the game anyway, and it's completely useless.
Now you Dirty Rat. 100% Dirty Rat here. You kill whatever comes out because of the Doomsayer. We can only see Alex Straza and Antonidas. So
They've
this
seen
is
2
gonna be massive.
Arcanologists.
Yeah.
I mean, the worst case is you catch a Medivh's Valet, Well, the worst case, you catch nothing, but realistically, you catch a Medivh's Valet, you prevent 3 damage to your face, and when are you going to dirty rat if you don't do it now?
Yeah, you're not going to have a better opportunity.
And you might get another rat in your deck anyway.
Either way, it's huge.
And Antonidas against Warrior is absolutely massive.
That's one of the win conditions, outright. I mean, you can Tony into, what, an Arcane Intellect. There's 1 mana we can see already there, plus other things like Glyph into a Frostbolt, and then suddenly you've got 4 more Fireballs, and there's a way to get through all this damage, and that could be game-winning. It's always risky to play Doomsayer against Quest Warrior, but sometimes you have to.
Yeah, do it to get rid of the Aliyama Smith to prevent the Dharma, but now you've cost yourself 12 damage later on. They were ready for this response, though. They obviously are planned for that eventuality. And got the Alexstrasza down instead. 23, how much have they got in hand? 6.
Just 6. I mean, I'm trying to wonder actually which was worse for China. Trying to wonder.
Okay.
Which was worse for China, whether Alexstrasza being pulled or Tony being pulled. Like, the Archmage, yes, okay, it can help win eventually, but the Alexstrasza does push a lot of damage now, and it's an answer that Malaysia doesn't really have at the moment.
Doesn't seem to have this. Alexstrasza, if it hits face once, it is actually probably better than the Antonidas.
Yeah.
Even though it gets you 12 point fireballs, it's kind of slow and unwieldy. If this hits face and your opponent's got to spend 2 turns dealing with it, interesting. So how many taunts can they get down? And in an ideal world, they'd armor up as well, but no, there's no ideal world for this one. 8 health out of fireball ping range, very important for protection here.
Also out of range of like a Flame Strike into a Frostbolt, for example. So it means that there's no way for this 8 damage from Alexstrasza to go to face yet.
Getting there, though. Flame Strike Frostbolt leaves it as a 3-1. They've shown they couldn't deal with it last turn. Maybe you go for that and just set it up for next turn.
No, you don't want to leave it as a 3-1. Consider you can trade cleanly into it if you want. Yeah,
I like it the other way,
yeah.
and it's then next turn they do all the sensible things.
Yep. I like this, freezing everything off, and then next turn you can deal with it and send the damage to face and still no execute. Maybe we will see a corner sentry into Brawl here. I think that's a pretty good play. The likelihood of Alexstrasza not living is quite high.
And they have no other answer.
Yeah, you have no other answer. If Alexstrasza does live, then you lose. So is that too much of a risk to take then?
It would be, what, 1 in 8? 1 in 7? 1 in 7.
Alternatively, you could just play Corner Sentry, Bloodhoof Brave. You could Whirlwind as well, or Ravaging Ghoul to get rid of those 1/1s.
Flame Strike, which I know we can see it, so it makes it easier, but Flame Strike just destroys that all so hard.
Yeah,
I think you take the 1 in 7, because the 6 times in 7 you do win, and by win I mean, let's say the Eater of Secret lives, that's a win for you. You can just start dealing with stuff.
Maybe you could Aliyama Smith and Bloodhoof Brave if you wanted to. If you are worried about Flame Strike being a possibility. It's certainly not an easy turn. And
Curator makes sure you've got stuff for next turn as well. And they do activate Sulfuras. They might need it here, but I'm not convinced. See how they end up using it. There's Deathwing.
Huh.
There's a card you A, don't expect to see every day, and B, you don't expect to need every day against Freeze Mage. Yeah.
So this does mean that 8 damage is going to be able to go to face because of the route from Malaysia. And as you said, Neil, they might need this Sulfuras just to deal with Alexstrasza potentially.
And there goes Drake. That could have been Execute or something got burned there. So they've got Armor Smith. They've got Whirlwind effects. Can they do much else? Not this turn.
So you could... Corner Sentry Brawl is like one of your best alternatives. I mean, otherwise you're looking at what? Hero Power, Sulfuras, Hero Power, but then that's...
So then you just lose because you can't ever armor up properly. I know you've got the Armor Smith, but you can never do a really good armor up.
You don't Deathwing, ever. A, you get rid of Sulfuras.
I mean, you get a 12-12.
I mean, you get a 12-12, but you also get rid of all your tools to generate armor as well. I know you're obviously pulling my leg.
Yeah, I'll stop that when the camera comes back on.
And yeah, as you said, the Armor Smith into Ravaging Ghoul into Whirlwind, along with other amounts of minions, might be the only route. I think it's a risk just putting minions on the board. You may have to take the other risk of corner sentry into Brawl, but then you're at 15 health. And 15 health is the kind of scary factor when you're against a mage.
Yeah, they're just going to go with 2 taunts again. Going to get some armor from this armor smith is their hope.
Unfortunately, they're not going to get any out of it.
They've managed to get into a bit of a pickle here.
Just a tad. I think maybe a corner sentry into Brawl turn earlier may have been... Yes,
you've got to recognise when you're in trouble sometimes and just go, you know what, if we lose the 1 in 7, well, we win 6 out of 7.
And I think the Curator being played, it showed they didn't have the read of anything like a Flame Strike into Frostbolt, as we saw. They weren't really expecting that, because if they were, you wouldn't make that play. You wouldn't allow 8 damage to come from Alexstrasza. So now, a Nightwalk can just use a Fireball. He can use Blood Mage Thalmos combined with it if he likes, so he can save the ping elsewhere to face. And he can just get rid of his Armor Smith, not allow it to get any damage. Trade Alexstrasza into the Bloodhoof Brave. Then push... What? Medivh's Valet push 3 damage to face as well, if you like.
Why not? Get something on the board as well. They've shown they can't deal with a board. China must be wondering, what on earth is in Malaysia's hand here? They're not executing, they're not brawling, they're just dying slowly. Well, quickly, in fact, now.
Okay, and they're just going to set it up. They're saying, actually, we're going to put the damage in now. We have a Pyroblast in hand. We don't think you can get out of range. However, there is a possibility for that to happen. So 10 is the number they're scared of. They've seen 1 Fireball, seen 1 Frostbolt, so they might not be as scared of 12. So what can you play here?
You've got to play Armorsmith, I feel.
Yep, Armorsmith plus Ravaging Ghoul plus Sleep with the Fishes might have to be something that you go for. Maybe a Whirlwind first, but I don't like it.
Maybe a corner sentry if you're committed to playing the Ghoul.
You need to try and deal with this.
You've got to use 8 mana, though, yeah.
Yeah, this is the problem.
Well, corner sentry deals with it for a turn. Kind of. Because if they've got 6 burn, it's going in your face anyway. Kind of.
So you could Cornered Sentry, Brawl. I don't like it.
No.
I was going down the line of play of hoping you could Corner Sentry, Brawl, hope something lives, then play Armorsmith, Whirlwind, but then that way you don't get out of range.
I think you do need to Armorsmith, Sentry, Ghoul, armor up. Because, yeah, do something. Help.
Yeah, Sentry's better because you can deal with those 1/1s. You Ghoul, Whirlwind, and Hero Power, and you just say, there's enough taunts that the Alexstrasza can't get through, but I'm also putting myself out of range.
Did they get everything off? I think they did. Lots of things lit up. Yeah. All right, they bought themselves a turn, but Sulfuras sitting in hand.
Yeah.
Aliana is going to get some health here, though.
We say Sulfuras sitting in hand, but of course for Malaysia, they wouldn't have known they were going against Freeze Mage or Discover Mage or even Tempo Mage, for example.
Well, it's Tempo Mage. I don't think the Sulfuras comes into play quick enough.
This is the thing. Like, do you ever keep it against any of them? That's the worry.
Unknown. Especially when you've got War Axe in your hand. I just don't feel you need, you know. I guess with War Axe in your hand, you can keep it, actually. But, I don't know.
I think they were going down the game plan of we might be able to kill them quicker than they can kill us.
They had War Axe, right?
Yeah.
So you can keep it.
That's another Pyroblast.
Because what else are you digging for, I guess, is the argument. If you don't have War Axe, you definitely chuck it, in my opinion.
Yeah. Another Pyroblast is really nice. That's going to be 20 damage, 26 damage in the hand with the Medivh's Valets as well.
They do have to be careful that this Ali Armorsmith doesn't do its thing. We just Medivh's Valet down the Armorsmith, I think.
Yep.
Excuse me.
100%. You are going to give a little bit more.
Is Alexstrasza been on the board since turn 7 or something?
And that Alexstrasza could have been Antonidas.
It could.
And actually, I think the pull of the Alexstrasza would have been better now in hindsight.
And also in hindsight, that Brawl turn that never happened is starting to look like it should have happened.
However, they're doing all right trying to stabilize here in Malaysia. They're up to 19, can go up to 21 this following turn. They've already seen 1 Fireball, 1 Frostbolt.
But we can see 23 over the next 2 turns in hand.
Yeah.
Which is the magic number.
It is. They would need either a shield block, if they're running it, or another Armorsmith next turn to really help. And it's just a game of sustainability. That Sulfuras is not going to come out. You can't afford to at this moment.
No. Again, with the, I mean, I've been saying all game it's a bit weird, but they did have that war axe in their opening hand, so
Oh, there's definitely
it's an option to keep
there's
it.
definitely reason to keep it.
But this seems to happen just all the time. You end up in a situation where you daren't use it.
And I mean, I guess the good point is there's 4 cards left for China now. Malaysian Chongo, they will be calculating this and saying what is left, potentially another Fireball, another Frostbolt. How much damage do we actually need to be scared of? At some point, they're going to run out of cards, start taking fatigue. Maybe then we know we're already out of range and we can just keep hero powering.
The other argument the other way against the Sulfuras is that you always would have been one step closer to that execute that hasn't turned up.
So pulling the Medivh's Valet was really big for Malaysia. I mean, alternatively, they might have pulled the Acolyte and been able to go for some sort of fatigue plan, but it means that puts them out of that range of that magic number that you spoke of.
How many Frostbolts have we seen? We've seen both Valets.
Just 1 Frostbolt, I believe.
So there might be a Primordial Glyph. I think we've only seen 1 as well. Been a long time, but I think it's only been 1.
So you Pyroblast ping this turn?
I don't know, you Pyroblast ping. That just doesn't seem like things happen in any world.
Takes us back. That puts you down to 2, and now we need some form of armor generation. There it is.
Can you do enough stuff?
No, you can only use 1 sleep with the fishes, so you can only gain 1 damage, 1 armor, so you can get yourself up to 5, and that's just not going to do it.
No, it is not.
So, Chonga and Malaysia, they've tried to play the long game, they've tried to play the sustained game. Do what they can with the fishes, but
they're trying to get as much armor as possible, but well, they are getting as much armor as possible.
Yep.
They're succeeding. It's just not going to be enough.
No, the Fireball is going to be able to finish this off for Nightwalk. A very well played game. We thought Malaysia were in good nick thanks to pulling Archmage Antonidas. However, it turns out it may have been better to actually pull Alexstrasza in the end, because that Alexstrasza just stayed alive for a little bit too long. There was a chance of potentially removing it. It was a little bit risky. It would have been a 1 in 7, wasn't it? With the Cornered Sentry into Brawl. Maybe a risk worth taking. But either way, we're going to be going into game number 5 now. So we're going to have an ace match.
A Warlock Mirror.
Said no one ever. Wait. We have seen a Hunter Mirror already today.
We have.
And we have already seen 1 Warlock played on stream today.
We have.
Maybe today's the day
How'd
for
that
a Warlock
work out?
Mirror. It didn't go great. Didn't go great, but I'm still fighting for Murloc Warlock to be a thing, but we'll see what classes they are going to be playing.
Why don't you make it a thing?
Don't need to.
It's Paladin versus Druid. So close.
Yeah, dreams are crushed. So Nightwalk gets a chance to try and put China at the top of this group. Chonga, however, needs to try and redeem himself.
He does indeed if he loses both games, and obviously, no, I mean, that's just not how it works, right?
No, but I mean,
was
if
going
he
to go,
loses both
obviously it's his
games-
fault. No, it's just
No,
not.
but again, if you lose both games and you're playing 2, I mean, you're going to be frustrated and you will take a lot of that onto yourself.
Yeah, the team needs to just calm you down at that point and say, look, you were just steering, we're telling you where to go, we're the sat-nav, you're just driving it.
Hate sat-navs. Hate people telling me what to do.
Shut up, get with your job.
So now I'm just going to wait for production to be like, hey, move on. Next
Be like,
subject.
no, I'm not listening to you.
So if we do have like the kind of control, if we have the control paladin versus Jade Druid, then naturally you go towards Jade Druid and you say, okay, Jade Druid should win this, but we have seen control paladin or paladin variants actually be able to win this matchup.
Yeah, it just goes incredibly long if it does. Doesn't look like it's too controlling with the Cold Light Seer though. So going to get a good start and fancy the chances of this paladin now.
Yeah, and that's the point. If you've got an aggro variant, then yeah, you can get through the Jade Druid. If they don't manage to like pick up Jade Behemoths, for example, and just put enough in the way. But what do you mulligan for? Like, of course, Malaysia are going to know their deck better than we are. If we knew there were 1-drops in there, we'd be saying, okay, you probably toss all of this.
I mean, there's got to be 1-drops where you don't play the Seer. That's my read on that.
Yep.
So I think you throw it all away, go for the 1 into the 2, hope for the best. And just to point out everyone there, yeah, we're just laughing at production sense of humour in our ears, telling us not to worry about all the production things.
It is nice.
We're wondering why there was a strange laughing on stream. Meanwhile, Nightwalk, he's got the Innovate, pretty good spot.
Nightwalk just reminds me of a superhero.
What, the name?
Yeah.
Sounds like a cross between several superhero names.
It does, doesn't it?
Just goes out at night, beats up some Murlocs. Because they're, like, doing things wrong.
He is, yeah. I can't, like, nope, I'm done. I'm out.
That's it. That's the end of Gaskian, guys. Getting out this turn 1 Fandral, really important, especially alongside Wrath. And just a 3-5 body is good enough, but with Wrath as backup, that's fantastic position.
That's ugly. That's a really ugly start if you're staring at that.
Nobody likes to see Nightwalk when they're playing Murloc.
No, this is what he walking down an alleyway. Murloc War Leader, bam, you're out of the way. Murloc Tidecaller, bam, you're out of the way as well. Bosh, slam, wazam.
Kapow! We could do this all day, but we probably shouldn't.
But that's how he's feeling right now. He's going to be whacking away Murlocs left, right, and center. Bluegill Warrior can try what he wants. And if production managed to find a golden beetroot, I'd be very happy.
That would sum this entire cast.
It would, but unfortunately they're not able to.
Golden beetroot sounds like a really bad award for bad superhero films.
It does. And options there are for Chonga as well.
Right.
I say that, but the options are pretty slim.
Yeah, I mean, how do you deal with this? What is your long-term plan? The plan is turn 5, War Leader and Bluegill. That's a little bit dead of a plan. Do you just hero power? I think you probably do. What are you trying to pick up? What are your outs? Your outs are Stonehill Defender.
You don't really have many tools to deal with a 3-5 body.
You don't. And this is going to get Wrathed, and this is going to be ugly.
And there's another Wrath as well off the top.
You don't like to see that if you're a Malaysia fan.
Hate to see that. As the famous world champion Firebat would say.
A lot.
A lot.
All right, there's Grimscale Chum. That's going to help out precisely nobody, except if it buffs the War Leader, turns it into a 3-2, I guess. At least then the Chum has to be dealt with because it'll be facing off the Stonehill, the Fandral.
So you Chum into hope it goes onto Bluegill Warrior.
Then you Bluegill for 3 into the Fandral, and at least you buy some time.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds absolutely awful. Or you can just play the War Leader, actually. That's
gives
the
you
same job.
Gives you the out of what, a Consecrate potentially? Consecration coming?
Yeah, I think you just play the War Leader. It does the same job. It's automatically 3. You don't have to rely on the buff. And they shouldn't have another Wrath. You just hope they haven't got Feral Rage. However...
Well, I guess, well, yeah, you say it does the same job, but Bluegill Warrior guarantees the damage. And it means you do have the out.
Sure.
Well, I say guarantee. It guarantees it if the Grimescale Chum actually gets the buff.
A 1 in 2? 1 in 4? I don't know.
Yeah, 1 in 2.
Of actually getting that. Whereas if you play the War Leader and they've got Feral Rage, which is a card you're more scared of than Wrath just because it's turn 3, and they've used a Wrath already. Oh, this is going to end in tears.
Oh, as well.
Do you want to play the Jade
Yeah, this is
Idol?
what I was thinking. Like, do you want to put 3 of them? I guess why not?
Why not? Because you want to draw into more removal. This game is not over.
No, it's definitely not over. You want to draw into more removal.
To where Mordor?
You want to draw into more removal, so you Wrath first for sure. I guess your next card will kind of tell whether you want Jade Idol or not. I don't think you need to.
I think you're okay to now you've got the Jade Behemoth though. You've got next turn's a bit awkward. And then you just go Nourish into Jade Behemoth and win.
There was that Consecration as well, Neil. So if they had gone down the line of Grimescale Chum, getting the 1 and 2 onto the Bluegill Warrior, running it in, they would have been able to Consecrate this turn. I know hindsight's a lovely thing, but that was exactly the out I was thinking of, and it would have been something they were definitely considering.
This Jade Blossom, and you can buff... Oh, this is just working out so nicely for Chia. He's already dead.
He's already dead, but there is a Consecration.
Yeah, just in time to stop the Nourish disaster from happening, but... Ugh. You miss your whole turn of Consecration. They play Jade Behemoth. But it's not over. Look at the hand for Chonga here. He hasn't taken huge chunks of damage. He is going to be able to refill this hand, and it's definitely a game of Hearthstone, despite that crazy start.
Yeah, it was a crazy start, but I think "but" is the key word. However...
Usually is.
It usually is. However, Jade Behemoth does put a stop to any kind of hope for Malaysia, unless we get poison from this Gentle Megasaur. That would really help. Plus 3 attack.
Okay.
Yeah, there's poison.
Yep.
Okay, poison. Game on. Now, China is going to be hoping to draw into some Jade Generation.
It's like my generation, but a bit younger.
It sounds like a
Bad group.
Yeah, bad band. Jade Generation.
Don't.
Nope.
No.
Okay.
Nobody go and just like register that name or anything. That'd be a really bad idea.
Okay, yeah, and suddenly Nightwalk's hand is looking pretty dire. I mean, you just Nourish, right?
Yeah.
Nourish,
Look
draw
at Chonga's hand. It's going to be Curator into Tyrion or Primordial Drake, because you'll get it off the Curator. He has got a lot to do still. But this is why the Paladin deck is so crazy. It can have that massive lull at the start and then just go into good stuff later.
Lull or lull?
Yeah, one of those.
Like a lull? Like a lull or like a lull? Like with double L?
Don't encourage them.
Okay.
You know they're already doing it.
The menagerie is for guests.
So the good thing for Nightwalk is, yes, okay, next turn he can Auctioneer, he can Wild Growth as well, if you really wanted to, and then you've got a Yogg as a backup.
Yogg looks like it may play a part in this game of Hearthstone.
You don't need to Auctioneer into Wild Growth, that's probably a bit excessive, especially getting the Jade Blossom off the top, that really helps. And because he was able, because he was able to have Fandral on the board earlier and shuffle all those Jade Idols in, it means he could play the second Jade Idol this early on.
You quite often want to Wild Growth before Auctioneering if you can possibly like arrange that, and then you get the extra mana to use your Auctioneer turn. This might not be the case this time because you've got double Auctioneer anyway. You're also facing down a whole bunch of death, which is never nice.
It doesn't mean
if anyone can face it down, Nightwalk can.
Nightwalk can, yeah. It doesn't mean he's got a nice turn 10 of Auctioneer into Wild Growth, into excess mana, into what,
not caring,
into whatever you draw.
Secondary Auctioneer, into setting up Yogg if you're in trouble. And Chonga still hasn't, like you said, he hasn't quite recovered. He's managed to get a great position, but all that card advantage Nightwalk got from the start is still telling in his favour.
So do you make 2 value trades here, kill off the Jade Spirit and the Jades? Actually, he's opted not to. You could have done it the other way using the Megasaur. Instead, he's just going to go face. Okay, he's saying he wants to put this on a clock.
Yeah, Ashbringer's a pretty good clock, to be fair.
It's a very good clock.
It just clocks you in the face.
It does.
Clocks you in the clock.
That's another addition for Nightwalk's Smash, Shazam, Kazoo.
Kazoo?
Wow.
Isn't that like a really bad instrument?
Bow wow.
I feel like you're not taking this like parody of Batman stuff very seriously.
Sorry.
I think you should be ashamed.
So actually, China may not even have to Yogg. They've got a pretty scary board of their own.
They have. It's a race that Malaysia just never quite got to grips with winning. I think they might have to lead out with Stonehill Defender here and try and get something good.
Because you Stonehill Defender and then you can push 5 damage to face if you want. Take them down to 12. However, you've got to be worried about another Earthen Scales being a possibility. It's all well and good saying I can hit them for 15 across the next 3 turns and hope I draw, I don't know, something like another Consecration, for example.
But it may just be,
you're
if you
already
fight
dead.
this board, you never ever win this board.
Yeah.
Like you're facing any Jade at all is an 8/8 next turn. And there's plenty of them. So you never win this. So I think you just, even though you're scared of the Earthen Scales, just say, they've got it, you got me. It's looking pretty bleak house, though, for Malaysia.
Yeah, it's because they weren't able to get a start. They were having to deal with that Fandral so early on.
I mean, how the dickens did you get out of it?
I really don't know. I guess an eye for an eye might help.
It might. It helps you at least set up some sort of trickery.
They're saying we may be able to get away with them not pushing 1 damage to our face, and they might hit us for 7 at some point. Feral Rage, however, should put this game to bed.
It's a pretty good deal, Feral Rage, right now. Nightwalk will almost certainly just armor up here with the Feral Rage, clear some bits off the board, and walk into eye for an eye.
Yeah,
and we'll have a good laugh.
You can't push any damage to face right now.
Right. And all he can do is actually heal his opponent, which is never pleasant.
So there is still 11 damage, 10 damage that can come.
Choosing to put more damage on the Aya than on the 7/7, indicating that he wants the Aya to die to generate an even bigger minion.
I think we're going to have a game plan from Malaysia here of
hope.
Yeah, go face, hope, maybe be able to get an eye for an eye, poor read. Do you kill off? But it's a risk leaving that Auctioneer up. It really is. If you're worried about that second Earthen Scales.
But how do you ever win anyway? Is the damage already done? It's just an absolute nightmare for them. Yeah, they are going to have to kill it, I guess. Have they made set up lethal? They have, right? No. Well, lethal with eye for an eye, I guess. I mean, they haven't had much to do in this game apart from how do we not die from turn 1 onwards. Literally turn 1, Fandral.
It's hard to come back from that point.
Into, yeah, you not having a decent turn 1 yourself.
So interesting, Malaysia deciding not to go for an eye that turn. They're saying, when can we play it at its best opportunity? The trouble is, the longer you wait, the more likely it is eye for an eye.
Right.
If they had played it that turn, they may have been able to go for some sort of bluff of Noble Sacrifice.
But you also have to do it on a turn where, yeah, like you say, Noble Sacrifice is a good bluff. But if you're bluffing Noble Sacrifice, they hero power. Yeah, that'd be okay actually. That'd save some damage. Because then they work out as eye for an eye. It's like, oh.
I mean, if you do it correctly, if you think it's Noble Sacrifice, you go face anyway. But if you're worried about redemption at the same time, sometimes you might direct your hero power towards one of the 1/1s.
Yeah, I think if you go for the eye for an eye plan, you just play it and hope your opponents outthink themselves.
Which can happen.
Yeah.
Time waits for no one.
And it looks like at the moment that's Malaysia's way out. They've used both Megasaurs. There is still one War Leader, but that swipe's going to be cleaning everything up.
All right, so that's lethal set up. And they're going to be on... Oh, at least play it.
No chance for the eye for an eye. Chonga's saying we're not even going to give our opponents the possibility of throwing this one away. So China will take the victory. They'll be 2-0 in the league table, which puts them, as I said, in a fantastic spot of qualifying and potentially confirmed qualifying depending on results later on.
Later on is in fact going to be the next game. So you'll be able to talk through that again, much to everybody's delight, I'm sure, and explain those situations.
Yeah, Norway versus Singapore is going to be the next game. But more importantly, let's see how that match was actually won. Let's look at all the classes that were played. Omega Zero did start it off in fine fashion. It looked like Malaysia were going to turn things around thanks to a Hunter Mirror, but Nightwalk being able to clean it all up in the superhero fashion there.
Yeah, just be getting rid of those Murlocs from all angles.
Absolutely. And it was a really good, to be honest, it was a good series. It was well played from both teams. The only question I really have for Malaysia is really about that Brawl turn. In Game 4, the corner sentry into Brawl, possibly getting rid of that Alex Straza. Maybe, but we'll actually have a chat with Jason Zhou from China. Jason, pretty good performance. I mean, you're 2-0 now. You must be feeling pretty confident about moving into the next stage. And I can't hear a thing you're saying, but you look lovely whilst talking, so that's always a good point. Maybe we can do the whole interview through sign language. That going to work out?
Doesn't seem like it.
I don't even know if he can hear me as well, but either way, he looks happy. We're sorry, audio issues means that we can't actually have the interview. It's a shame, because I wanted to hear from him, because he's such a character, Jason Zhou.
Yeah, he is a character. He's just gone from like doing well in America to doing well in China, and staying in China because he's done so well there. And it's a shame we don't get to speak to him. Plus, some people call him Jason Zhao, which would have fit in nicely with that whole theme of Pow and Kazap.
Jason Zhao! Yeah, shame. I really wanted to find out a little bit more about China's game plan, but I can follow that up in maybe private discussion. But as I said, really good place for China to be in. Malaysia, however, everything to play for, being at 1-1 in the table now. As we look at some of the highlights, we had an interesting Hunter Mirror, of course, Neil, that we don't see every day.
Yeah, most Hunter Mirrors just go first, win. But this particular one, they nearly turned it around, China here. They got their own huge hyena on the board and just got it within one turn. And if you'd played like me, you might have lost it because the Leroy ordering around the taunts would have actually been a disaster.
Yep.
Malaysia have been pretty spot on with a lot of their plays actually here. So showing why they managed to get such good results in the first phase and, of course, already won a match in this phase, looking decent.
They surprised everyone in phase 1, didn't they, Malaysia?
They didn't surprise me because the APAC person. But
yeah. But they surprised a lot of other countries, a lot of viewers, I would have thought.
Yeah, and myself, I've got to be honest.
And now they're in a position where they're 1-1. You've got Norway and Singapore left. And Malaysia have already played Singapore.
Right.
They beat Singapore, so that means Malaysia will be facing Norway. And that's not an easy game to be winning.
That's a toughie. That'd be a good one. That's next week, right? Like everything that's not this week is next week, because that's how 3 weeks work.
It's a really good group, Group A, actually, full of very tough opponents.
Right.
Some would say Norway were the underdogs in this, which really surprises me, because Norway seems to be quite a stacked lineup.
Norway is a very stacked lineup, Hammer. Norway, your team, I think.
Yeah, I'd say Norway are my team.
So there's no way they win now, then.
Nope. No way at all. And then we saw the final game where Nightwalk was just destroying Murlocs for fun. We thought maybe Malaysia were going to have a chance to win this game with an early start, but unfortunately, Fandral on turn 1 is apparently pretty good.
Yeah, seems pretty reasonable indeed. Who knew? Especially when you back it up with Wrath and another Wrath. So you're killing things and just keeping your hand size the same with a 3-5 just powering through.
Well, let's see how the group was affected by those results. China sitting pretty at 2-0, Malaysia dropped to 1-1, and then we'll have Singapore and Norway next. As I said, if Norway managed to beat Singapore, it does mean China are 100% through to the next stage. They are in a pretty good position anyway.
Right.
The likelihood of them going through is still very high, but we are going to go for a very quick break. When we come back, it is going to be Norway versus Singapore, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back very shortly.
We're almost there. Quiet down, everyone. This is not like any of our previous expeditions. This will be far more ambitious. We're stepping into a land of primordial wonder. Infused with astonishing elemental energies. The plant life here holds very unusual properties. So don't touch anything. And while you may be excited to see the local fauna, you might want to make sure they don't see you. Because their powers of adaptation are devastating. Make no mistake, we will be tested at every turn. But if we stay on our guard, we might just survive. Now then, are you ready? Then let's journey into Ongoro Crater.